Welcome back to the Misshits, episode 2. A lot of feedback, some of it good. We do have our first sponsor. It's my mother-in-law, and she said she'll drop off biscuits when she's next around. So, Matt, I will get her to post you some biscuits.
Thank you.
Yeah, so a lot of good feedback, a lot of people interested in where this podcast is going. So am I. It's arguably not going to Glendower after last week. That said, chaps, let's get stuck in. Anyone got something interesting from the past weekend's golf they'd like to perhaps mention?
I mean, Luke was having a great time watching late night golf, but on his own, getting no response from the boys.
Yeah,
big Bud Corley fan. Yeah, big time. I did send a late night message to Trav and with no response. So obviously caught him just as he fell asleep.
You caught me as I ran out of steam. Yeah.
And he was complaining about the orangeness of the Dutch kits giving him a headache. So
with the benefit of seeing, I put a couple of Dutch kits together on my phone, and this one is invasive. It's excessively orange. They look like they're on Scholar Patrol, and I don't.
Well, very on brand for who's hosting the World Cup, Mr. Orange himself.
Yeah, this is fair.
Easily the worst World Cup ever, but this is a golf show, so we'll move back over to golf. Bud Corley won for the first time his first time. I think he had a big car crash. Yeah, he had a big car crash in 2018, derailed his career. He's now ticked off the list of golfers with the most starts without a win. So that's obviously a big relief. I most noted that Brooks Koepka started really well and then withdrew. He's got some problem with his finger. And obviously going into this week, he'd last won at Shinnecock Hills. Well, he won his second of his US Opens at Shinnecock Hills. It is US Open week. And I know the boys are super amped to get nerdy on not only US Open picks, predictions, but most importantly, the golf course. Matt Knight, thoughts on Shinnecock Hills as a venue?
Stoked for Bud Corley, and also stoked that none of the big names won the week before the US Open. I don't know. We got our picks in there a little bit early, and you're always worried when you see your guys doing too well. So you don't want them pulling out with injury, but also don't want when we get to our picks later for the US Open, anyone doing too well. You want them T3 to T10. Shinnecock is beautiful. I don't know if you guys what do you remember about some of the. I'm guessing we all wrote mostly in the same generation. We should maybe have said last week that I've only met Wade, haven't met these guys. So it was lovely to find a few points of agreement and disagreement. But I distinctly remember watching this golf course that looked like Mars with Retief Goosen winning. And because my dad let me stay up late because it was the East Coast US Open, I got to actually watch him win it. And it's just stuck in my brain as the coolest place to play golf. The way it looks, some of the cool stories there of guys winning it, who's won there. And I think for me, Shinnecock's probably, I was saying to you guys earlier on the group, Shinnecock and Pinehurst number 2. It already feels like one of the best majors of the year, if not the best major. It gets elevated by going to places like this. Hopefully very difficult, hopefully very windy, and hopefully we get to see a proper US Open test. But yeah, man, just so flipping excited for that. I think I sent 2 little cool factoids about it. I think out of the 500 plus guys that have played there in the last 100 years of majors, the number who have finished under par is 3. It's just an exceptionally attritional hard golf course. 2 of them were in Goosen's year. It was Retief Goosen and Phil. And then the second one is, I don't know if you guys, my main thing, I loved watching Ernie and Retief through the years, but both of them over putts, when the times were stressful in majors, their chipping and putting was just so hard to watch, and it remains hard to watch. But Retief Goosen had 11 one putts on his way to that victory, and I think it was 2004, 2003, one of those. And I just remember him making everything from everywhere on that day to go get a brilliant US Open. So cannot wait to get back to Shinnecock this week.
Okay, before I let Trav loose on his Shinnecock things, couple of things here. One, do South African golfers win majors with streaky putters? Charles Schwartzel, when he won, he just tore it up down the stretch, absolutely ridiculous. You mentioned now Retief with the 11 one putts. When Ernie last won the Open, okay, his putting has always been a bit dodgy, but Adam Scott's putting was worse to hand him the title. So very interesting that our putters are a bit weird, considering that Bobby Locke is probably regarded as the best putter of all time. So we went from the best to super streaky. I have a huge bone to pick with you and Trav, but Trav's going to go next, and I'll let him loose. The US Open is not the best major of the year. It irks my soul for you to say that. It is definitely the Open, and it then followed up by Augusta, because obviously we get to see the same course all the time. I do love the US Open, and I do love people getting beat up and the score like being over par. But we saw we've seen too much craziness over the years. Losing the course. That's going to be the big talking points. Losing the course.
I think I said
cheating.
one of the best majors of the year, which is hardly a statement, right?
No, you said that. And so, Trav, onto you. Defend your vulgarities.
Gents, I want blood. I will say that unabashedly and unashamedly. I enjoy Augusta. Wonderful. Always great to watch that. The Open Championship for me is lacquer, because you sit down in the morning and you can basically watch it throughout the day. Don't have any strong feelings on the PGA, but for me, the US Open is when the boys are humanized a little bit. You see how they react to the types of bounces that we might get at like a Muckaflay golf course, for example. From Phil chasing his ball off the green like it was a cart girl to, Zach Johnson. Zach Johnson saying they've lost the course. I am a huge fan of it. There's nothing better for me than at sort of 2 p.m. on a Thursday or Friday afternoon, closing the laptop, switching the TV on, and seeing some poor bastard like 9 over through 7. I absolutely love it. So for me, the US Open is by far the best, easily the best major for me. I think it's... No, but you look at the venues as well. I mean, Pinehurst, Shinny, Marion, they're all fantastic places to play golf. Oakmont, yeah, exactly. My only complaint is that they've made it too easy over the years, and it seems to be the case again this year.
Not hard enough.
When you've got Scotty and Rory making statements like the course is playing firm but fair, I get immediately worried. Because to me, that means someone's going to come in at like 9 or 10 under, which is absolutely unacceptable for a US Open. The guy who wins the US Open should be the closest to even par that you can get. It's a true war of attrition. It's a death march. And to do away with something like that is to strip the soul out of these championships. I think it's, cannot emphasize strongly enough. We need to have at least one tournament of the year where the boys suffer a little bit. They play dome golf 40 weeks of the year. They are paid astonishing amounts of money relative to the value that they bring. And every now and then they've just got to earn their crust. And I think the US Open is the perfect venue for that.
You're a sick man. Most of what you said, I agree with. I think it's just the levels that you take it to are, one, concerning as a human, and two, as a parent, very, very concerning. But there are no levels. Let's have a quick wrap around, because it's something, our WhatsApp group has been going on. Let's just call it out and out. What is your favorite US Open venue? I've already said mine. Mine is Oakmont. I'm prepared to down that hill. I don't know why. I think it blurs the lines of what's happened there and the players and the type of things, the champions that it's produced. I love Pinehurst, obviously. Would have liked it more if Bryson didn't win. But everyone else, what is your favorite US Open venue?
Go for it, Matt. I know you've got some opinions on Pinehurst.
This is your gap, bro. Jump in there before.
Well, I can probably start, because I'm just going to go say Torrey Pines, and I've not necessarily got a reason why. Again, like me getting back into golf recently again, I'm not remembering a hang of a lot of US Opens in the past, but Torrey Pines was a venue, and for me, being slightly younger than you guys, played a lot of golf games, and Torrey Pines has always been a course that's been on all the golf games. So that's the reason I'm taking Torrey Pines. So
very cool. And 2008 Tiger, well, that's one of the cooler majors in my brain.
Yeah,
at Torrey.
And it should still be on the calendar somehow. The fact that we don't see Torrey anymore is actually quite sad.
I think it's an infrastructure thing, hey? They can't get like enough
Well,
grandstands and stuff.
it's the issue. One of the big issues is that they have a
Have a
recurring
live,
tournament there
have,
every year as
have
well.
a live event there then.
Yeah. The thing for me with Tory is that it's such a beautiful backdrop, and you always feel like they could have got more golf course out of that land. They don't make use of the cliffs nearly as well as they should. There's a lot of dead straight kind of routine par fours. And you feel like with that kind of backdrop, they could have made it work a bit harder. It could easily be the visual equal of like a Pebble Beach or a Pinnacle Point or something like that. But instead, they bring so much of it inland that you've only really got 2 or 3 holes where you're hitting the thing down like into the ocean. You're not hitting over any of the creeks. It just feels like it's a little bit milquetoast for the caliber of land that they were working with, for me at least.
And your favorite venue?
My favorite venue is probably Shinny. I think, again, just the stuff that's happened there. Zach Johnson saying they've lost the course. That 7th green that was basically unplayable. I'm a huge fan of it. Oakmont's definitely up there. I love it when they move away from tree-lined courses to challenge the boys a bit. Get them flighting it a little bit better. Make them work harder with their approach shots. I think that's the stuff that defines the US Open. You don't want to see a guy stuck behind a bunch of trees. For me, I want guys hacking out. I want them being able to see their full kind of range of shots. So an Oakmont or a Shinnecock for me is probably number 1 for sure.
Yeah, I'm not on first name basis with Shinny yet, but I would also say Shinnecock today. And I think down the line, maybe Pinehurst, as they play more majors there since the renovations and changes. It's just such again, also visual place, like one of the coolest spots on earth. And to take the best major of the year there, one of the best majors of the year. Not a doubt, top 4.
Easily top 4, yeah.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the venues we're speaking about, I mean, those are probably would be most people's top 10, like as great places to have a championship. So I think the US Open's always had that firm grip on great venues. The setup and the USGA getting involved is where maybe things get a little bit funky, but looking forward to it. From a South African point of view, very, very sad week. We have 1 player in the field. I mean, we are a proud golfing nation. We have had Ernie. I mean, that's where he made his name, the Goose. And now we have 1 player to throw our weight around. So from a South African point of view, it's going to be a tough week. Jaden Shape is a very good golfer, is in form, but let's see how he goes. But yeah, pretty sad that we don't have much more to shout about this week.
I wonder how many.
At Shinny.
Yeah, at Shinny. I wonder how many years in history we've had more South African golfers at Augusta than the US Open. It can't be a lot, say.
Well, I was too lazy, but this must be the major with the fewest South Africans since 2000, maybe more, maybe go back to, because it was always Goose and Ernie. So, and then there was obviously Sabatini when he was still South African, and Emmerman and 1 or 2 others, even David Frost around. So, yeah, very sad, very. But the pipeline's there. I just think that the world rankings need to get a little bit more settled. Maybe move somewhere else in terms of data goal sort of rankings, and we could see some more South Africans. There are a good few around, but yeah, quite sad. Like someone like Eric van Rooyen, we've had Gary Kircher also not qualified. We've got a few guys floating around the PGA Tour. Aldrich Potgieter, surprised his name isn't there.
It's interesting, hey?
Very interesting because the guys have done fairly well recently, and obviously none of them qualified because obviously golf's longest day is also another option, and none of them qualified. Tons of amateurs qualified through the qualifying, but no Sappers. Anyway, let's get stuck into who we think is going to win the US Open. I nearly said the year's second major, but the PGA has jumped ahead, and who is going to win? Matt tonight, who do you think is going to win the US Open?
So I have reached past a couple of the favorites at the top end. I can see Scotty and Bryson getting frustrated for different reasons at the unfairness of the course. I can see look, I mean, I think Rory and Cam Young, good everywhere, but I think that finally Tommy Fleetwood gets his major. I think my big take is I think he's going to be a one major guy in the realm of like Adam Scott and Justin Rose currently, some of those big names, Davis Love and Jim Furyk and that. Incredible careers and resumes, but one major. So you got a whole lot of guys on that list that have one major that be like, oh, how did they get one? When so many good players didn't. But I think Tommy's going to get one, and I think it's going to be at this place where he's got a fantastic memory of that final round. He had like a very makeable putt for a 62 on the at the final round in 2018 when Brooks won it. Just lipped out or missed the putt for a 63, and I think was something like just under 10 true adjusted strokes gains better than the field. He just absolutely like tore that course apart when everybody else was bleeding out, much to Trav's delight. And so I think he's got good memories. I think he's got good form. He hits it high and well controlled. And I think if he can hold a few of these greens that others can't hold in the what looks like 40-kilometer-hour winds Thursday, Friday, I really hope that this is the one he gets across the line. It feels like he needs to be like 2 back on Sunday, maybe in the second to last group, something like that, and just go get it, you know?
Lekker. Trav?
Yeah, look, I must be honest. I'm very big on Tommy for this one. I think when you look at the course fit, there's less emphasis on driving distance. There's a lot more emphasis on things like accuracy, on your approach, on your hands around the green. And all of these are kind of facets of Tommy's game that he excels at. So I would be very surprised if we don't see Tommy in that top three. I'd love for him to win. I think he's due a proper legitimate win. I mean, obviously he's won the FedEx Cup, but it was like a 25-man event. And it would be really good for him to legitimize himself in the States with a proper major win. I think he's due.
Luke? Have a pick?
Well, I'm glad.
Don't say
Matt,
Tommy Bloody Fleetwood.
No, I'm not saying Tommy. Matt unintentionally mentioned my pick, and I feel actually quite prepared for this episode because I mean, last episode I didn't do too much research, and like me, usually I'm lastminute.com. That's how my degree went as well. But I'll just tell you a stat here. So, and you can probably guess who it is, but the player is playing in his 100th consecutive major, and I think that's 100 consecutive starts. It's Adam Scott, yeah.
Dude,
so
I love it.
That's my sort of. Obviously, he's not one of the favorites, and everyone's punting for Scotty, and I think Shane Lowry's name was mentioned there as well. But I think all of the I don't want to say stars are aligning because that's a bit of a, I don't know. I don't believe in that star sign stuff, but all of the things are aligning for him to, I mean, 100 consecutive major, and he's always gone about his stuff in such a humble way. He doesn't make the headlines for anything bad or anything like that. So I call him the people's champ. So my pick's Adam Scott.
Luke, you backed the wrong horse. He putts like a dog. He's not going to win. If you're going to go for a bullet, I would say Justin Rose, despite his equipment decisions that he makes. I think Justin Rose could be a good player this week just because
he's due one.
He knows how to hang. He knows how to hang tight and hang tough. And a player who, one thing that I came into this pod wanting to say is it's quite weird that when you look for a winner, okay, you look at the top 3 golfers who've been the top 3 golfers far and away each time. You've got Rory, Scotty, Jon Rahm, maybe throw Bryson in there, right? And then you can kind of throw 2 of them out based on form. If Rory's out of form, he's got no chance. We've just seen that. So throw Bryson out. Like, don't see him winning because of form, and then maybe throw Rahm out, and then confidence are just too rough there. So, what can Rory get hold of his correct driver game this week? That Scotty seems to be in a bit of a bad place, and so I've ruled out all the favorites like you guys have, and I'm going for Xander Schauffele. I think I like the US Open. I think Xander is a guy that hangs tough. I think that Xander is a guy that has a very good all-round game, and I wouldn't be surprised if Tommy is up there, but something about a major always says, like, you could throw away, like, unless a guy's statistically horrid, you know, if he's bang average, but he's a quality player who always competes well in majors, you can throw him back up there. That's kind of like why Justin Rose seems to always play well at the Masters. And I think that Xander is going to be a perennial challenger, regardless of his like current 3 weeks or 3-month streak. I think Xander for me is a guy that's going to be hanging around late on Sunday, and if things go right, if he manages to putt above average, get some strokes going there, I think his all-round game is good. So I think Xander is my guy to prove the bookies wrong. I don't think we're going to see a Scotty or a Rory winner. Happy to make that statement.
Look, I think when you look at the sort of strokes gain stuff, Scotty is definitely equipped to win. But he's clearly going through some stuff at the moment. You know, Ted Scott can probably attest to that. I don't think that he's losing strokes at a rate that he hasn't in the last 2 years previously. So definitely out of form. And I agree with you on the Rory thing. I think Rory's really battled off the tee this year. Distance-wise, obviously, absolutely hits the piss out of it. But from an accuracy perspective, he's losing around half a shot around. And I think, you know, the widening of the fairways may play into his favor a little bit, but I do think that driver of his is going to continue to be a problem. When you're out of position at Shinny, it's tough to get yourself into the right spaces on those greens. So yeah, I would say almost definite top 10 finish for Rory, but I don't think he's going to have the goods at the end of the day to get this out of the line.
Chav, I know you no, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say he missed the cut in 2018. If he drives like a donkey like he has been, I reckon he might just be sitting out the weekend. So for me, I'm swerving anything Rory McIlroy this week.
Big take. Chav, I know you recently bought the actual paid subscription to Data Golf, as we like to say, or Data Golf. I know it's got the strokes game there. It doesn't have the strokes lost second child category, because I reckon that is playing straight into Scotty. He loves to be hands-on. He's changing nappies and he's getting stuck in there, not sleeping properly. Like he just looks a little bit like someone who's got 2 young kids that aren't sleeping well. And what I quite like is I like that he gets irritated. I don't know that he's quite figured out how to get over his irritation and gut it out yet. When, like Pinehurst, he was moaning about the unfair bounces and the unfair, inconsistent rough and bunkers. He doesn't like it when there isn't like a bit of a consistent bounce, consistent roll. And this is like the second worst place in the States for inconsistency. Like, you're going to get bad breaks. You're going to roll off the back. You're going to judge a perfect shot that trickles off into the bunker. Like, that's okay. I'm here for this. I'm here for like a 12-round slugfest, and I'm not going to get knocked out. It feels like one of those oaks. So wait, on your Xander pick, if you had said top 10, like, I'm so with you. Xander is going to be in the top 10. He's always in the top 10. I think he's got 4 or 5 top 10s in a row or close to it. He's just not that guy at this golf course, I don't believe. So I'm excited to see who's right and who's wrong, because we got to write these things down and have a little bit of accountability next week.
Oh, well, I like that too, because, you know, listen, I'm not a loser if Tommy Fleetwood wins. I mean, I think anyone can get behind him, but when he doesn't win, I'll be like, see, told you so. He doesn't have the killer instinct. Does Xander have the killer instinct? Probably not, but Xander knows how to hang tough. So it could be a case of everyone else making mistakes. And you mentioned, Trav, about being in the second to last group. You know, Xander's in the second to last group, and he plays the first back nine. I mean, the front nine on Sunday in par. Got a damn good chance.
I like what you said, Matt, about you know, a little bit of chaos being introduced, because when you talk about stuff like that, one name immediately comes to mind, and that's Mr. Jordan Spieth. I feel like he's one of those guys that leans into the cuck bounces and manufactures shots from behind a porta potty. He's been in an upward trend the last couple of months, and I would very much like to. I wouldn't be surprised to see him sneak a top 20, a top 10 maybe. I think he's experiencing a bit of a resurgence. He's pretty accurate with the driver, of late at least. So yeah, I'd be very, very happy to see Jordan pull something out of the bag here as well. I think the track kind of suits him and his ability to manufacture shots.
Would it be remiss of me to nickname Jordan Spieth his pod nickname Shit and Champagne? Or Shit or Champagne, because that seems like all that we get from Jordan.
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
sometimes,
it's about
and
as
sometimes
cheap
in the
as
same,
anything.
and sometimes in the same golf hole.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And due to some import tariffs, he's been struggling to get hold of champagne the last little while. So he's been half that player for the for the majors for the last little while, you know. Hey, Noah's talked about Brooks, which is interesting. Not that I think he's definitely going to win, but it feels like he's
Because he's got a sore
also
finger.
yeah. Do you think that's what it was? You don't think it's a my game's ready, I'm focusing on next week? He has that history of like fixating on majors and making sure that he's not doing anything to take himself out of the running. It's not particularly long. He's got good memories there, and he's hitting it so nice. It feels like if he's got a slightly above average putting week, he's again in the mix for that kind of ballpark. Don't go chasing birdies. Avoid a whole lot of bogeys and doubles. See where you are on the weekend.
Yeah, well, I think
look,
you've hit the nail on the head though with the putting, because he's been putting like a donkey the last 6 months, and I think that's the ultimate problem here. He's hitting the ball incredibly well. His driving accuracy slightly below average, but all right. His approach play is good. His driving distance is good, but then you look at his putting stats, and it's tough reading. And I don't know if he's going to be coming into this week in a place where he's going to magically find something. I think Shinnecock exposes stuff. If you're not coming in strong, you're going to have a pretty tough time.
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see Brooks having a good week if he's totally switched on, and he does have that brashness about it when he gets to majors. You know, famously said like, "What, only like 4 or 5 guys can actually beat me." I mean, he he probably feels still the same way about his game. Any sneaky top 20 place bets that you guys might be taking this week?
Well,
The
before you
sneakiest I've
go
gone
on,
is Jordan. That's about as sneaky as I'm getting this week, I think. Jordan for me is going to be a really good pick for a top 10.
well, we didn't really. I know he was mentioned last week. This isn't my pick, just by the way, but the defending champion JJ Spawn. I know Trav said he's struggling with his putting. Is his overall game struggling? So he's not in with a shot at all. You don't think? Coming in with a point to prove?
No,
It's a big ask. No.
I think Spawn will be a one and done. He was in the right place at the right time. Sank a hallelujah putt on the last hole from the neighboring state to win it. So no, I'm not anywhere near that. I do think that I'm going to have a sneaky punt on Justin Rose. I've got a rich history with Justin, mainly that I'm still blocked on Twitter or X, whatever we're going to call it, by him because I was being
The Hanma days.
mean about when he switched from his gear and he was so good, and now he's done it again, but I can't tell him so. But anyway, I think Justin just has that. He's just, I mean, how long has that guy been playing for? Like 26 plus years, and he's at the highest level, and he's a perennial challenger. I think top 10, top 20 is good money on Justin Rose.
It's staggering that he's only got one major. I can't.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Well, two Masters playoff losses in recent years. You know, that could be a career changing. You know, 2 golf holes is career changer. Goes to a absolute elite Hall of Fame player with 3 majors. Now he's stuck on 1 like JJ Spawn.
So, do you think back in the day? Do you think he thought it was Honda and he was getting into the F1 crossover too early, and now he's like, "No, I didn't mean Honda. I meant Honda." That's a stupid joke. So I think my top 10, maybe top 20 punt. I think Sam Burns is going to have a good week. He's also playing really nicely, and I like Chris Goddard up for this kind of ballpark. He's playing nicely as well. I'm going to have a little cheeky punt. I went and had a quick little look at Luke's Adam Scott on Data Golf, and so he's the biggest disparity in the difference between the official World Golf rankings and Data Golf, and generally that's a lag time. I think World Golf rankings is over 2 years, so he's 49th in the official World Golf rankings. He's 20th at the moment on Data Golf, and he's had his rolling average at the moment of 30 rounds is a 1.75 strokes gained. And I know putting is always a problem, but it does feel like one of the courses where if you can get lag putting and speed control right, like there's going to be lots of little tap-ins. And so I wonder if he's not a bad shot for like a top 20. I don't know what his odds are. I haven't looked, but yeah, didn't mind the shot, and quite surprised at how much better he's doing than I thought.
Yeah. Luke, if you've proven right, I'll buy you a coffee. If
Thank you.
he's
I won't have to pay for
if
my
he's
golf carts again.
Yeah, top 10. Yeah. Luke, Luke and I play a little bit of golf together, and I tell him that if we win the game, he doesn't have to play for his cart. So it's a nice, it's leadership. It's incentivizing him. It's
Incentive.
that
Beautiful.
And
any
I've yet to
250
have to
rand
pay for a
save.
cart as well.
Well,
just
you did.
just saying.
I think you
No?
three-putted
When?
against Trav and his brother at
Well,
Rondebosch
That's
to tie
that's
the
not
game.
what my putter cover says. It says do not 3-putt, and I listen to that very
Could never
very
disobey.
well usually. To my punts, a top 10 who I'd like relatively, well, I don't want to say new, I think he's won already, but Akshay Bhatia. He's ranked 10th on the PGA Tour in strokes gained, top 5 in putting, strong par 4 scoring. So, I mean, obviously, that's the one thing I did research about Shinnecock, and the win can get quite substantial there. So, let's see. That's my punt for a top 10, and then top 20. Very new kid on the block, number 1 amateur in the world, Jackson Corvin. The only reason I know the name is because I follow all of the golf clothing brands. So he's just signed to Melbourne.
With Melbourne, yeah. I saw
decided to check up on him and realize he's number 1 amateur in the world, which actually I think he's just gone pro now, just before this tournament. So maybe he's thinking he's in with a shot to get some of the prize money, because I know amateurs don't get paid. So
I think this is his last one as an AM. So he qualified for the US Open as an AM because he won one of those collegiate things. And then I think he's turning pro immediately after. But either way, very good shout. It'll be interesting to see how the boy holds up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that will be very interesting. I did like your...
Right? Is he going to be dressed as the Shinnecock backdrop? We just don't know. We don't know what Melbourne's going to do.
Yeah, you never know with Melbourne.
Jason Day is certainly paying the price for the way he's lugging around the golf course these days. I do like your Sam Burns pick, Matt. I feel like if someone might break through, it could just be Sam Burns. I know that his putting has been pretty good for a while now, so good iron player. I feel like there was a stat that a lot of Americans win this tournament, so perhaps anybody betting on people like Rose and those kinds of players, Scott, etc., it could be missing a trick here. I think it's been dominated by Americans recently. Bryson's won a bunch, Brooks has won a bunch, JJ Spawn's won.
Wyndham.
So maybe it's a Sam Burns versus Xander Schauffele showdown come Sunday. I mean, you heard it here first.
Yes, I'll switch over to the football for that one.
You'd rather
as long as the Netherlands aren't playing.
Eh? Yeah, the harsh orange. My worry with Sam Burns is wedges. Like they're the weakest part of his game, and you're going to need a lot of wedges at Shinny.
Okay, and who's missing the cut this week at Shinny? I'm going to go first, and I'm going to say that Rory doesn't get his driver right, uses the plot, he misses the cut.
Okay,
I'm going to say it. Why not?
It's
a big shout. He missed it in 2018.
We can always edit it out. So I have Bryson to miss the cut. I felt confident about it for a while. Have I taken yours? You threw the ball to me, bro.
You took me.
Can I tell you why? Myself down. Can I tell you why I'm worried now, though? Is because I did have a sudden thought in my mind. He was tweeting something and talking on YouTube Golf about using AI to fix his swing or coach him. And it did just ping in the back of my mind that anytime he's gone like rabbit holed into something new, he's come out and done well. So like when he was carbo loading and on the big gym, when he changed to like some of the new irons and rebuilds, like not the most recent one, the ones before, he did really, really well. When he was doing the long drive, he did really well. So maybe AI gets him across the line to a full victory. But I'm still going to nail my colors to the mast and say Bryson is going to be very grumpy with the wind and the bad bounces. And he's going to be looking at his caddy going, I hit that perfect 10:30 swing, exactly how I wanted to, and it's rolled 50 meters off the green. So bye, Bryson. Have a lovely weekend off
Is he
and enjoy making YouTube.
is he gonna moan to his caddy, or is he gonna get on his phone and moan to Gemini? Because I feel like one is more likely to listen to
Same
him
thing.
than the other. Yeah. Oh, Mr. Cut. Oh, please help me. You're absolutely right. Dash. You know.
He said on the Bob Does Sports video, he's got 34 full-time staff. So why not add one more? Why not add Gemini, the twins?
He's an absolutely nightmare. Yes, you have a right to feel frustrated. I'm sorry that I miscalculated. If you just
Exactly.
do this, it's an absolute load of crap. I cannot believe that anybody would buy into that nonsense.
Well, look, it doesn't
And
hurt that he's now signed a deal with Google. So you get the feeling, like everything with Bryson, that it's a little bit contrived. Maybe it's a bit of an advertorial for AI. Who knows? But I just feel like there's, as one of the desperate fools that's trying to plug a swing into Gemini and get a result out. It doesn't give you anything meaningful. And I think the only thing that he would have got out of that is positive reinforcement, which he seems to need an awful lot of. So, yeah, I think him missing the cut's probably a very good call. It was my call as well. So well done there, Matt. Yeah, I mean, in terms of who I think is missing, I don't think Shane Lowry's got a hope. As painful as it might be to admit, I think we all like him. Temperamentally, he does seem to be in a bit of a bad place at these these major venues. His putter's on a bit of a slide. He does seem to be in a place now where he's not necessarily thriving in high pressure situations anymore. I had a look at his sort of strokes gained under pressure data for the last 2 years, and he's definitely, for whatever reason, and it seems to be in a mental place where he's not able to convert, stuff into wins and into positive rounds on the Saturdays and Sundays. So for me, I think Shane shoots himself out of the tournament on Friday.
yeah, not very controversial, but sure, carry on.
My choice is only because this person said I've chosen the wrong horse. So I'm going to go a bit of a controversial pick, and I'm going to say that Wade's winning pick is not going to make the cut. So
Xander,
I'm saying
bye-bye.
Xander's not making the cut this weekend.
Based
He's
on
very
nothing but
bold.
your emotions.
Nothing but
that's-
spite. Nothing but spite.
Vibes only.
Yeah.
We shall see. All right. I think we've taken enough of our time. I wonder if anyone's still watching at this point. But guys, anything from last week besides, I mean, we don't need to throw stones on Phil's grave. He's a dirty old man. And plus, going back to Shinnecock, where he has not so fond memories. Live Golf still needs, 2/3 of the 600 million. So there's big doubts whether half of the remaining 4 events are going to carry on. Been a continuously tumultuous time for Live, but not much news in the way of drama from Live, not much in the news of they've got a potential sponsor. I think all the players themselves have been dragged across board meetings and probably have to download Zoom and Teams and Google Meets, etc., to try and jump onto some calls to get people to sponsor them. But other than that, anyone else got some closing parting shots?
Well, I think that the Live thing's interesting because, I mean, that injection that they got from the PIF was to get them through to the end of the year. So they, when we talk about the funding that they're going to need for next year, as far as I know, that's completely unresolved. So there's been a couple of statements out of Scott O'Neill about how they're now wanting to break it up into $50 million chunks. They want to try and solicit investment from various parts of the world. It'd be great to get the money in from the different markets, so it's truly representative. I've got a mate who's sort of very heavily involved in startups, and all of these things, for him at least, are massive red flags. I think there's a lot of stuff going on in the background that's making things quite desperate. Obviously, Scott's doing his best to try and put a brave face on, but ultimately, it's a hell of a lot of money they're looking for, with very little possibility of any kind of decent return. So unless it's a vanity project, I think they're going to struggle to tee it up next year.
And by all accounts, John Rahm is hopeful of that because they filed for bankruptcy. He gets out of his contract. He can go and beg at the door of the PGA and say, please let me back up. I know I was a bad boy, but all he loses is his 700 million share of the Legion X VVI. Well, I don't even know what that, you know what I mean? The Legion
Those
X
guys.
Roman numeral thing on top of that.
Yeah.
I actually think that apparently someone is saying there's a case to be made that the moment they go below 14 guaranteed purses of over whatever million, they're in breach of contract. So it might even be that they don't have a leg to stand on as live, and the players have a free out quite quickly.
It's good news for the DP World Tour, I think. I think they're going to get quite a lot of players. Lot of players.
So I think we're realizing that Shane Lowry is potentially closer in stature and career to the one hit major wonders that had their purple patch and never had another real shot at a major than he is to some of these names, which I just wanted to almost commiserate with some incredible gentlemen, probable Hall of Fame careers that only ended on one major or are currently sitting on one major with the asterisk. How's these names? Davis Love III, Jim Furyk, the beloved and affable Sergio Garcia, Wade's favorite, Jason Day, best player in the world for a year in 2015, Justin Rose, Adam Scott, our own Louis Oosthuizen, who had a couple of decent putting days on Sunday, should have 3 to 4 majors, Freddie Couples. And I'd love Tommy to join that list as opposed to the list of how did that guy win one major. Salute Wyndham Clark and those sorts of people.
Guys, thanks. That was great. Matt, I'll leave that. Let's see, because Xander's definitely making the cut. Luke, you'll be wrong. See you all next week for the review, and let's see who's joined the one and done club. Will it be Tommy, or will it be someone like Sam Burns? Time will tell.